So I came to see you
Awesome.
tonight. I've put on my Sunnydale hoodie and
Nice.
Very nice.
God, I'm more Greendale today. I transferred from Sunnydale to Greendale.
I'm just wearing flowers. I've got a dark lipstick on. That's gothy, isn't it?
That'll
There we
do.
go.
definitely. Where are you guys?
Oh, we're in a venue in Cheltenham called Smoky Joe's, which is where we did the majority of our rehearsals for. It's like an American themed diner, which again just adds to the whole the whole Buffy experience.
I love the backdrop. It's very on point.
Cool. It'd be great if we can give them a bit of a shout out because they did give us very reasonable rehearsal space.
Yeah.
I saw you guys on TikTok, so if you're putting money into TikTok, it's working.
We're not actually, but maybe we should.
Or maybe we're all right.
Yeah.
But my mate and I'm in Birmingham, so I'm not miles away. I was like, what are the chances that this would be on? You're like, well, we're never going to see it, so let's come down and see it. So that's how I found you. Let's get started. If you could start by telling us a little bit about yourselves and what you guys do, just individually to start with.
Okay. My name's Stephen Santoris. I am an events manager here at Smoky Joe's, as well as actor, performer, and director. Got to wear many different hats.
And I'm Tony Shaw. I work in marketing at the Cheltenham Playhouse, which is a small little theatre in Cheltenham, funnily enough. And then I also am a performer as well, and I like to do a bit of graphic design. So all of the Buffy posters, that was me. I did that. I done that. And yeah, that's me. And also the co-director of Behind the Curtain with this one.
Great. What's your show about for anyone that doesn't know?
So we take the one musical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We do our absolute best to try and give people as much context as possible, which is really hard when a show has already had like 6 and a bit seasons or something ahead of that episode. We screen the actual episode. But then anytime a musical moment may happen, we do our best to incorporate live performers.
Awesome. What drew you to staging Once More with Feelings? Are you big fans? It's pretty iconic. Did you think it was a good idea? What drew you to it?
Yeah, we're both massive fans of it. And I think we both had the same kind of little idea in mind the first time we watched it, which was, well, we didn't even know each other, and that
was many years apart.
Yeah. So like, I think both of us had the same sort of little idea in the back of our heads the first time we watched the episode, which was, wouldn't it be cool to do a stage version of this?
How to get it on a stage? And
my specifically was, wouldn't it be cool to do a stage version of this? And I play Anya. Specifically, I play Anya. And yeah, I think it was just, we were having conversations. You were talking, because we've Behind the Curtain as well. We do a number of like smaller cabaret shows, which is kind of very stripped back, musical theatre based, and we normally have like themes running throughout them as well. So we've done like a Disney one, we've done like a Princess and Princesses, which is basically a Disney one as well. But we were like, oh, what if we did a Once More with Feeling one? That'd be quite fun.
Yeah, I think it was one of our regular performers, Joamy, who said like, oh, a Halloween themed cabaret show should be all around Buffy. And I was like, well, the way we do it is that we sort of walk up to a microphone and it's a stand and sing it moment. And I was like, but without the context of the episode and the show itself, the music does stand up, but so much of it is contextual. So we need to like fill it in. So I'm like, okay, do we screen the episode and have people stand up and sing? And then I remembered when Tony worked at the Playhouse, I was like, well, they have a whole cinema set up and a stage in front of said cinema set up. That would be the ideal.
And do you, obviously it's got a really huge cult following. To those who haven't seen it, how true do you stay to the episode itself?
We do our very best.
Yeah.
There's things like, you know, let's take Under Your Spell, for example, where that one cuts off mid-song. and to a bit of a racy moment, let's say. That's not something that we want to recreate on stage necessarily. So, it's giving that song its full finish. Same as Where Do We Go From Here? That's obviously a cut-off where Spike and Buffy runs out, but again, we complete that song. Because again, on stage, you can't just cut a song off and cut to the next scene. That's not how it works. So there's been a lot of work of how do we make this make sense on stage. Standing being another one that proved quite a few challenges, because slow-mo weapons flying through the air proves challenging on stage.
Yeah, we also kind of like added a little bit of our like own kind of sense of humor to certain songs as well. Like, we're not gone too far so it kind of becomes something completely separate. We will do the songs as true as we can, but when we find there is like a moment to do something funny or like a reference to the rest of the show, we're like, oh, we could just put this little thing in there. And I mean, we're constantly thinking of new ideas that we can add to it. We've already got something in the pipeline
for next year. So deeply stupid, but will be fun.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
That's like is that where the idea for the other Slayer came out of?
Yes.
So at that moment in the song, again, in Standing, Tara is researching the books and stuff for what this chant that Willow had put on her, and we were like, well, how do we do that on a stage setting when Giles is going to be singing? And so that was the idea with that one. But we want to nod to as many Buffy alum characters who may not have been in the episode, but we will find a way to shoehorn them in.
It did also help that Lucy, who played the other Slayer and is also our fight choreo master for the show, looks basically like Eliza Dushku.
Yeah.
Like, it was uncanny, so we thought, perfect.
Stick a fake tattoo on that and a wife beater and off we go.
Do you find your audiences are already major Buffy fans, people from your cabaret, or are you getting a massive range of people?
I say it's definitely a range. I mean, there's been some great moments. I think we did it last Halloween, which was the first one of the show when it was in its very sort of like, but it was still on a theatre stage, but it was still like very conceptual, and we were still trying to figure it out. And I think our MD Justin just turned around because he's got screens into the auditorium because he's behind the screen, so he can't see what's going on stage. It's a very odd place for him to conduct. So, and he just turned and said, I think I've just seen a bunny walk through the auditorium.
There was 3 bunnies.
I think I met a Spike last year, which ironically I was Giles then. There's quite a few people that do make the effort and dress up.
Yeah,
I want to meet a Dark Willow. That'll be the fun one. That's the one I want to meet. I want a full Dark Willow.
Yeah.
Noted. How do you find that newcomers to Buffy take it? Have you had any conversations with people who have had nothing to do with the franchise and then have seen your show?
Yes, actually, I was chatting to our friend Alex, who's another great actor. He came to see the show last week, and he purely to support us because he'd never watched Buffy before. And I did ask him, like, what did you think? Like, were you able to follow it? Did it all make sense? And he was like, yeah, it was so easy to understand. So right at the beginning of the show, Steven's written like a couple minute long monologue, basically explaining the last 5.5 seasons of Buffy, like down to its like pure essence, all the stuff that you need to know
about the characters that are on stage for today. So like we won't go into Angel because there's no point. Like Angel does not feature. I don't even think he's mentioned in that episode. So we don't, it'd be great to cover everything, but no, it's very much these are the characters you're going to see. This is who they are, and this is what we're going with.
And he said like that, it was like, it makes total sense. I got all of it. So, I mean, I've had a couple of people be like, I didn't know what was going on, but I had a great time. So, and I'll take it. If you've had a great time, I'll take it.
What were some of the other sort of big creative challenges you had to go through in order to get it from the TV episode to the stage?
Wigs.
Ooh, wigs.
Getting all of this under a tiny little blonde wig.
Yeah, wigs, definitely. I think, again, a lot of it is those moments that we don't have a camera to play with. So the amount of times that Hattie, who plays Buffy, has nearly taken me out when I'm trying to catch her to spin in something to sing about. Sometimes I think it looks really organic in like it's like it was stunted like that. No, like genuinely her elbow was coming for her nose, my nose most of the time. Because I remember watching the episode and it's like she's doing all the crazy dancing and then it just splits to a screen where she just turns in and Spike's there. So it's like no grabbing or saving really that needed to happen. I'm like, how do we recreate that on stage? Yeah. And yeah, again, a big note to Lucy as well, who did a lot of sort of like stunt coordination and stuff, because most of the performers have had minimal fight choreo and stuff, and then having to set it to music as well. So it was literally fight choreo. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other challenges really.
Yeah, I think it's I think as well is making sure that because it is an iconic episode. Like, even if you've not watched Buffy, you've heard of the musical episode of Buffy. I'm trying to keep those moments like really iconic, like scenes, and making sure that they are what people, because if people are coming to see I'll Never Tell, for example, big dance number right in the middle of it, and making sure that there are some slight changes, but the essence of it is there.
The same mood and feeling.
The absolute insanity of that number and making sure that stays the same. I think but that's a lot of individual sort of work that all of the cast have done incredibly well.
That's annoying.
Sorry, phone's just going off.
Do you need it? Or do you need to get it? Or
no. We're technically closed, so they can wait. Just hopefully it'll ring off.
There we go. Apologies.
No, don't worry.
I'd say costume as well.
Yeah.
Your costumes were on point though, like especially some of Tara carbon copies.
So I've seen productions of it on sort of YouTube and online and stuff, and like, no offense to those other productions, but if it wasn't for the fact of I know exactly who's singing what at any given point, I wouldn't necessarily be able to tell Dawn, Tara, Willow apart, because the costumes just aren't even close, and the hairstyles aren't even close. And that's fine, that's how they wish to do it. But again, I was like, well, if we've got the screen playing, the people on the stage have to closely represent the dresses. Then you've got that Willow dress in the first half that she's wearing for Under Your Spell, which is like a one-off designer dress that Alison Hangen had. It's like, where are we going to find?
Which, in the world, she absolutely can't afford.
No, it was a one-off, like, just bespoke designer piece, and it's beautiful. It's like, how are we going to create that? I was doing a show once where I was killed off very early, but you have to stay around for the applause. So I had about an hour and a half wait in the dressing room as the rest of the show continued. So I brought an over sort of jacket for this sort of prom dress we brought for Willow, and I was just there looking at like images of him just painting with fabric paint all the tree designs onto it.
It's like a one.
It's forever too. We've got it's Theory and Under Your Spell, but yeah. So yeah.
How did you approach it all in rehearsals in regards to the music and the choreo and the sort of characterization? Because obviously, again, they're so recognizable. How can you replicate that without it being too mimicky?
Yeah, so our big rehearsals were last August, and I think we did a 10-week process, but just like 1 day a week, because a lot of people have got other jobs, gigs and shows on. So we did 1 day a week for 10 weeks, and I stripped it down to the way that I've always seen it is there are certain couples in the show that perform together or come together. So there was a special rehearsal that was just focused around Giles, Tara, Willow, because everything they sing and do, they're in the vicinity of each other. There was an Anya Xander rehearsal day, and then you topped and tailed with somebody else. It was probably those other three, and then we pulled them together to do like Theory and stuff. Spike and Buffy had their own rehearsal. And Sweet and Dawn had their own rehearsals. So we brought everyone into their different rehearsals and just attacked it and said, here's the choreo, here's the music. I'm not expecting it to be good. And then throughout October, we just did runs. And now we just get together like every so often just to keep it fresh, keep it going. If there's going to cast change up. And so it's very minimally rehearsed now. I think if we were to if Hattie was to step away, who plays Buffy, that might be a more intense process because she does have a lot to do.
Yeah.
Or if any of the ensemble have to step away.
Oh, Misha and Lucy.
Just do everything.
Yeah. The cast as a whole. And there's a couple of people who aren't necessarily as sure on the source material, but like 90% of the cast are huge Buffy fans. So actually getting everybody into those characters was not actually that difficult because everyone kind of knew where they were doing it. So that wasn't too difficult, and it wasn't something that we necessarily had to really focus on in rehearsal because everybody kind of knew their characters. And even as the show's evolved, like we've been working on this for over a year now, as the show's evolved, the characters that we play they're still the core of who the original characters that you see on screen are, but there's like an element of like, this is my version of the character. So Reese, for example, oh my god, Reese, who plays Xander. Xander is, oh my god, I have so much hate for Xander. If Xander Harris has no haters, I am dead.
Great now, like he's been done for robbery and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway,
he has. There's nothing really going on there with that character
in that episode.
That episode,
it was
like
hard to...
when we're performing the songs, there's really nothing going on. So Reese has done this really good job of just finding, going, this is Xander. If he was just as insane and unhinged as his fiance, let's just ramp that up. So now I'll Never Tell is just me and Reese going insane to the beat. And yeah, it's having him like really push I do not care what's going on. I'm so disinterested in every single thing that's happening, but pushing that to 11. So he's done some really good work on like finding that character and making it actually interesting for the stage.
I think that's it. When it's on a screen, obviously, when you're acting to a screen, you get to play a lot of subtleties and stuff, and we can't do that on a stage. So we kind of do, I wouldn't say the word parody is not what we do, but it's like it is an exaggerated version of each character. So, when playing Spike and stuff, I'm a lot more like walk with the hips and have the sway. Like it's almost insane the way I'm moving at those moments, but that is an exaggeration of kind of how James Masters did walk with the character and stuff. He was very sort of hips forward and slinky sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you have any songs yourselves that are your favourite, especially if you play Spike and Giles? You've done it.
Gosh, vocally, I'm definitely more Giles. Like, just I've got a slightly my voice is a bit higher than Spike, so which in a weird way does make it a bit of a straightforward sing. It's like practically speaking this, which is nice and chill. When I was younger, Under Your Spell was my favourite.
Under Your Spell
and Walk Through the Fire.
Under Your Spell was a song because my mom absolutely loves Buffy. She loves it. And I remember when I was like a child, she'd like put together like playlists and CDs to play in the car and stuff. And Under Your Spell was on there. So when I was a kid, I thought Under Your Spell was a song, just like a song from an artist that got put on an album. And so then when I watched the episode for the first time, I was like, this isn't a real song. Well, it is a real song, but it's like a parody song for a musical episode of a like a fantasy romance horror show.
I think Rest in Peace and Under Your Spell, they stand up so well because actually they do stand up outside of context.
Yeah.
Those songs don't need a lot, like they're not making references to past events, or they don't really mention names in those songs, I'm pretty sure, other than Willow Tree, but that's a play on words. So those two songs really, really stand up.
Yeah.
I do think Standing's very pretty. but but yeah, the whole nonsense we have going on with it.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, and the standing under your spell reprieve is just a heartbreaking moment of television.
I like I'll Never Tell because it's the one I do. No, I've always loved that song. In fact, that was the song in the episode that made me go, I want to play Anya. So I do love that song, but I also love What You Feel.
Yes.
The sweet song. It's so good. It just sort of hits all the right spots. It's just
And Joe really plays a shtick to it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I want to get a little bit into the marketing of things. Firstly, how do you manage that? Is that both of you? Do you have a team? What's the situation?
It's me.
Yeah, I mean, Tony physically puts everything together.
Yeah.
I'm the annoying kind of person that goes, I have this idea, make it happen. So we did do some acoustic re-recordings of some of the songs, which was it was an idea that I had, thinking, well, not a lot. There are a couple of covers out there, but there's nothing on TikTok. There's no sounds to use for the individual songs. Same as on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because we've been doing stories and posts for years, and it's like, I just want to post this song from the musicals, not on Instagram. I don't know why. So we thought we'd put the songs out there, and we are planning to do more of them because they did really, really well for us in a sort of outreach kind of way.
And they're fun.
Yeah, and they're fun. Oh yeah. Oh, come down to a recording studio and tightly professionally record a song from this show. Yes, I'm there.
But yeah, a lot of the like visual marketing stuff. It was quite easy actually to sort of put those things together and get like a look to everything, because there already is one. And because we're like, it's a tribute to this episode, then it was basically just mimicking what was already there, so people can see it and go, oh, that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer once more with feeling. Yeah. I know that. I like that. I'm going to come to that. So it was. I've been trying to keep as tight to that as possible. Originally, all of our marketing was very much the classic sky background, close-ups, stars, very light. We have recently kind of moved to more of the vinyl cover from the episode. We've moved more to that because it does kind of include all of the it means it can include all of the actors in the poster, whereas the other one was a bit more restrictive. It's only like really the Scoobies who are on there. So yeah, we've moved around a bit, but from actually creating a brand identity, it was pretty straightforward.
It's already there. I mean, you've got Once More with Buffering, which is I believe a musical podcast dedicated to the episode. Again, they've gone with the sky faces. There was a drag cabaret in London that was again dedicated to Buffy and the musical episode, and it was the same sort of sky background. So the tools are there for it. But I do enjoy the vinyl cover. Is that one feels a bit like you have to be like in on the know with that.
But we've got Once More with Feeling in big letters across the bottom, so like it's just kind of switching things up a little bit as we've kind of, the show has kind of grown and improved and elevated. We just thought we'd change up the visuals and how it looks and stuff. So yeah.
Who designed the sleigh bill? Because that is on point. Okay.
Which one, sorry?
Oh, the sleigh bill. It was kind of your idea, and then I just put it together. Yeah, so.
Absolutely genius. Have you sort of tapped into any fan communities, like general nerds or Buffy communities, in order to try and increase your audiences?
We've done a little bit online. We've got an event coming up later this year, which we it's not been announced as yet.
Yeah.
But that's very much a big long Buffy event, and we are going to be sectioned into it. So that one we're really, really looking forward to. And we hope that one's gonna, again, will help spread the word and stuff. But yeah, we're hoping next year to land a few more venues outside of Gloucestershire. We've got so many people asking us to go well, north and south really,
Yeah.
but like basically everyone wants the show, and we're like, we'll do it, we'll bring it. We just need to find the right venues, and we're there.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you thought about expanding into merchandise?
We have.
We've had a
It's
little thought.
definitely, yeah. But it's good. Again, because next year is the 25th anniversary of the episode. So we very much want to really celebrate it all throughout 2026, as many different venues as we can, and probably, do some merchandise and, again, add some new bits and pieces to it. And then we think we're probably going to put it to bed for a little bit, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we're probably gonna, after next year, just kind of,
Pop it on a shelf, go, that was amazing. But there's always a 30th anniversary. There's always a 35th anniversary. And
They're relaunching, aren't they, as well? You want to get on that bandwagon when
exactly. Yes, yeah.
We have very much spoken about like how we can incorporate that into our sort of our marketing and hopping on trends.
The second they release any posters, any teasers, anything like that, we're going to directly copy it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you did, Tony even just randomly out of the blue just said, "Oh, look at this one," and it was an homage to the 1992 movie of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Like, instead of holding a steak in a cheerleader outfit, it was like a two-piece and a microphone. So it had a very like a Six vibe almost.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. I just saw the poster because I think it's just a picture of Buffy. I can't remember the actor's name.
Kirsty Swanson.
Yes. Like it's just sort of her in a little cheerleading outfit, and it was like really simple. I was like, I could do this quite quickly. I could just throw this together, and it would be very fun. So I thought, why not? Be a laugh.
Yeah.
It's in my wardrobe already. So tell us a bit more about Behind the Curtain, how you started. You said you started doing cabaret. When did you start? Yeah. How long have you been doing that for?
I'd say 2023 was our first show.
Yes.
2023.
Yes. What is it?
And these were very much, I say park in box. It's a very small area, very small stage, usually Justin on piano, and then singers rock up to the microphone and sing musical theatre songs that are very well known, maybe sing musical theatre songs that aren't very well known. Our next, so we've done Disney based ones, we've done villains based one, we've done Parts I'll Never Play.
We did a Taylor Swift one.
We did a Taylor Swift one, reimagining some Taylor songs as musical theatre. We did a Back to School one, so your Grease, Mean Girls, Heathers, Back to the Future, all featured. And then then the Buffy idea was born from that. Well, if we're going to do Buffy as a cabaret show, we need to make it bigger. And I think the ultimate goal is for us, we want to just do more queer-led theatre. So we've got some ideas around productions and plays that would be either adaptations or original pieces. They're going to have a very strong queer focus, queer presence, because in my opinion, like the whole of the theatre industry has queer people have been front center, but they've also been in the background, in costuming, in lighting, like everywhere. The queers make theatre happen. So that's very much what we want to do moving forward, is like telling more queer stories. And we feel Buffy is a part of that. Willow and Tara at the time of the episode and their whole relationship was groundbreaking TV, really. Yeah. So that's our main sort of focus for Behind the Curtain, is make theatre and make it really queer.
Brilliant. Where have I got to? Oh, I've got two screens and it's like enormous on this one. I just scrolled it.
Lucy started saying that. Lucy started putting a call me in at the end of our standing.
So tell me about your team for Behind the Curtain. Is it the two of you? Do you hire in freelancers as and when you need it? How does it all work?
We work with freelancers. I mean, Justin, bless him, works really, really, really hard. So Justin's our musical director. He's done the majority of the cabarets to date. He's also had to do a lot of arranging on Buffy. Yes. There's a certain song that we do on the encore that just doesn't exist because it was a tag-along moment. And he, bless him, he had to sit there and I think listen to it over YouTube because there isn't even an Apple Music version, and just figure out the chord sequence and then build an accompaniment around that. So Justin's put a lot of time and hard work into this. We have Joy Amy Wigman, who she performed as Tara for the show, but she's also our vocal coach and sort of person that leads sort of like vocal warm-ups and helps people with challenging moments, because there is some moments in the show that can be quite vocally challenging.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then everyone else. So Lucy we mentioned as well, fight choreo, stunt woman and performer, and really helped us with intimacy coordination. Me and Hattie do have a moment to recreate from the episode. Again, it was one of those ones like, could we just sing it and flash it up on the screen? No, it's not going to work. So, so she was really, really like great helping us with some intimacy coordination as well.
How do you budget or find funding for the shows that you do?
So great question. We were very fortunate with the Playhouse the first time we did it. It was ticket split.
Yes,
ticket split. Yeah. And then so a case of us just throwing money at it to begin with from ourselves, and then sort of like getting that back in expenses afterwards. And that's kind of like, it's where we are unfortunately at the moment, is we sort of need venues to support us a little bit with that. So whether it's ticket splits or take a fee, post ticket sales, it's kind of where we're working.
Yeah, because we've only been an official business, proper official, a CIC business, community interest company, since February. And from that we've had like plans like, well, when we get profit and stuff, we'll just like get a little bit and put it into the company, just so we can put it into further shows. But ultimately we're a non sort of profit organization, so any money we do make will go straight into shows. But because we're still very young and still very early, and I think we've only done 2 shows since becoming, and both of them were Buffy. We've not managed to really like make a massive amount yet. So yeah, it's very much trying to find the venues that we can work with that will, and obviously venues have to make money. We're very aware of that. Venues do have to make money,
especially the smaller ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ones that don't get big touring productions are like Heathers
or external funding.
Yeah,
as well. So yeah, we will be very much looking into venues, but I think we've got a couple on the horizon. Yeah, on the horizon.
I mean, funding is something we're learning more as we go. Like, it's a minefield, and we definitely want to apply for stuff. Certainly, we've said those queer-based adaptations or original pieces of work. We're probably going to work with smaller casts to begin with as well, which things like 2-handers or one that only requires 5 performers or something, which obviously will greatly reduce costs. But yeah, funding is something we are definitely going to be looking at for future shows. We're hoping this one can kind of bankroll itself a little bit on reputation and the want for it, because people want to come and see this on stage and relive the memories of when they first watched it, and celebrate that music, because whilst it's not traditional musical theatre music, I'd say it is almost a parody of musical theatre in its own way. People still love it. People still think it's iconic, and I think it works for people that can be a fan of the show but not necessarily a fan of musicals, because it does walk that fine line between, well, it is a serious musical in the sense that we take you from a point, we take you to another point, and everyone sings in between. But all of the music kind of pulls from different, Rest in Peace is a bit of a more of a Rocky Horror vibe, and I'll Never Tell's your classic sort of Hollywood Singing in the Rain-esque moment. So they all pull from just different, I suppose, like Walk Through the Fire is an attempt at a Les Mis moment where we're all just singing different things over each other, and it's all dramatic and serious.
We did make a joke with Walk Through the Fire that we should just get 5 treadmills on the stage when the Scoobies are doing their like.
Yes, someone fund us for treadmills, please.
So here for that. What, in regards to becoming a CIC company, what were the steps you took? What made you decide to specifically go down the non-profit route? What's all of that about?
So it was, we knew we wanted to kind of become a legitimate business, just because things were starting to ramp up. We were like, let's get serious. And I think we looked into the options, and based off of the work that we want to do with within the queer community, and also women, like a lot of women-led stuff as well. We thought this is something we want to do. We're not in it for the money. We're not in it to make massive profit.
Who's starting up their own theatre stuff for the money? Unless you're being bankrolled by, you know, millionaire relatives.
Cameron Mackintosh, you were right.
Yeah.
We're not in it for the money. We don't want to be here making, like, you know, thousands and thousands. We just want to make theatre. We want to put queer and sort of fan presenting people in the spotlight. And we thought, well, a CIC makes sense. We can, you know, it's when you hear CIC, because CIC it's like the balance between a charity and a business. I think it's fair to say. So yeah, we just felt like it made sense that we've got this like big mission statement, and we've got this like really like strong idea of what we want this company to be, and a CIC just worked for that a lot better than just a business, like a limited company.
I think as well, like, you know, we're both queer individuals who, it's tough times in the UK at the moment. It's tough times across the world as well. And so if us doing, you know, a lesbian vampire story explored, you know, in Victorian literature thing, but we make it hella gay and people have a great time and have sympathy for these characters, and maybe rethink some of their stances, their positions and their biases, then great. Like, we have 100% done our job. You know, and there are other, like, there were so much in literature and it's stories that come before. Queerness it's not just a subtext, it's absolutely there, but it's just been like brushed under the carpet to make the story more palatable. And I'm like, no,
all the books been completely censored because some writers in that time ended up going to jail over the book. Cough cough, Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde. Justice for Oscar Wilde.
So yeah, we want to make unapologetically gay art in theatre for queer people to enjoy. But also, if it just opens up people to, oh, well, actually, that was a beautiful love story that just happened to star two women, or that was actually a horribly toxic love story that just happened to star two women, then, yeah, that's kind of what our main point is. And obviously working predominantly with queer performers as well. People who might be told, oh, you're too this to pass as straight or to pass as this character. It's like, well, honestly, the queerer the better. Come work with us.
and also, like, the stories themselves aren't just, they're not just, right, this is a story about being queer. This is a story about being, there's stories about other things and other themes and other, like, other themes. And that is what the story's about. The story's about, you know, toxic relationships, you know, the fear of getting old, all of these sort of things. Very, that's at the base of the story, and it just so happens that the main characters are queer, and that does lead into those themes quite a bit. But that's not just, we're not going, this is a play about gay people because we want to make a play about gay people. It's the other themes and so on throughout the stories that we're also really, really interested in as writers, performers, directors, producers. And yeah, that's kind of where we're...
Yeah, one of my big inspirations is Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles, which in the 70s and 80s in book form started out so gay. And then we got a 1994 film, I want to say, with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt. And obviously, being of the time, they obviously dropped the Lestat and Louis romance from that story. It hinted at, it was certainly homoerotic, but that was about as far as it was going to go. And then obviously AMC have done their retelling of that in the last few years, which I believe is going from strength to strength and is really, really successful. I enjoyed watching it. And they went, yeah, no, we're making this gay. We're taking this back to its roots, but also keeping those themes there of what the original book was saying, but also improving on stuff a little bit by having more representation of people of color, which did not happen in the original book. So that's my other thing with an adaptation or a retelling. Focus on the themes that were always there, bring them to the forefront. But obviously, if there's an opportunity to correct something like Was there enough women? Were these women well represented? Should there be people of color in this? Yes, is kind of what our focus is moving forward.
And what is the LGBTQ plus community like in Cheltenham?
I think it's pretty.
It's a smaller community. I mean, a lot of my sort of community ties are back in Bristol because I lived there for 7 years, and you know that is a very gay place. It's great. I love Bristol. But Cheltenham, I will say, there's a lot of young queer people coming up, especially around drag, especially around performance arts drag. There's a lot of young people coming up through music as well. Cheltenham's it's very much, it's because it's almost punk again to be that objectively out there queer, and that's where it seems to be this mesh between young people in the music scene and young queer performers just seem to have come together. Like both of our alternative bars in Cheltenham host regular drag or have drag performers, and are just generally the hangouts of where a lot of the queer individuals are going. So I say Cheltenham's queer scene is something to watch closely.
Definitely.
So back to sort of logistics, how have you got around rights and things like that?
So so I did go to I tried Warner Brothers, I tried MIT, and everyone was just kind of coming up with I don't know. So from what my understanding was, Josh Whedon had said that he did not want it performed, but again, I don't believe the rights are now with Disney, I believe, which is why we're getting the reboot under the sort of the Hey You brand. So we went with I did speak to someone from MIT and was like, listen, this is my proposed plan, and they were like, well, this is, I think, as good as you can go. It being a tribute comes under a tribute performance, hence why we're all in costumes as closely as we can to the episode. We're not screening the episode in its entirety, because if we were to screen the episode, there would need to be a licensing thing around that as well. So we believe we come under a Fair Use Tribute Act. And as you said, TikTok has done great numbers for us. And if I know anything about Disney, if they feel if they feel their property is being misused or misrepresented, they soon get in touch. And we don't ever say that we're, you know, it's the original performers or anything, or and I think if we were to act it out on stage, like verbatim sets and stuff, I think that again would come under, like, it would be a copyright. But as it stands, I think we are covered.
We've done a lot of research. We've done so much research.
And how has planning for the tour logistically gone? You're heading to Bristol and Weston-super-Mare pretty soon, aren't you?
Yes, Bristol. We're performing in a cemetery in Bristol, which is amazing.
Honest Vale Cemetery, which is gorgeous.
It's logistically going to be a nightmare. It's one of those. There's only one entrance in and out of the building, so once the doors are closed, the audience are in. You've got nowhere to hide, cast. I'm very much looking at this. Going from having this in a proper theatre space to the chapel in Arnes Vale. I am the closer to the show we get, I'm more panicking about it. But like I am seeing it. I want to see it more as an opportunity. So as we said, we want to take this sort of a bit more further around the country next year. And if we can do this transition from a proper theatre space to a tiny little room, then I'm seeing this as going, right, we can take this anywhere. So yeah, we're going to be working very closely with our sort of the technician who we work with a lot, Ollie, who is incredible. He's very, very good at what he does. And he's really got an eye for like looking at production, asking like, so what is it you want? Right. This is how I can see this happening in this space. This is actually how it's physically going to work. But
he's very good at trying to do it as much as possible, but like taking the essence of what you want as a producer, director, creative, and saying, okay, cool, so that isn't necessarily going to work, but that's like the reason you're doing it, that's your intention behind it and your motivation. How can we take that motivation and make it actually logistically possible for the space you're in?
Yeah, and we've got another one coming up where it's like the space is small and the vibe is going to be very different to having a seated audience in a theatre. It's going to be, let's say, more like a gig space. So that therefore means, well, we need to look at it actually and go, well, what sense of humour do we need if it's a gig rather than a theatrical performance?
Yeah.
What's going to be different if the cast are on standing mics? What do we do if we have no dressing room space? So, and a lot of these things are coming up for us in the near future. So yeah, I would quite like to get the show to a point where it's almost like different versions of it. So depending on the space, depending on what we're going for. I mean, obviously for me, I think the preference would always be massive cinema screen, big stage, couple of balconies for some for some surprise moments.
Yeah.
But that's not every venue, that's not every theatre, that's not every gig you're going to book. So I would quite like to have many different versions. So we're like, okay, so this one we can, you know, it's a parking bark standing, but we've got projection going on behind us with backing tracks, for example. Or this is an outdoor one in summer. So projection is is, so how do we do that one for so yeah, I'd like to have like many different versions of the show. They could be quite versatile and fit many different needs and wants.
But also is the essence of the show.
Yes.
So like people won't go to one and think, oh, well, that's not as good as when I've seen it at the Cheltenham Playhouse, for example. Like try and really keep the joy and the love that we've received from our previous runs of it, and like make sure that that's still very much there and within the production, no matter how we perform it and how we do it. Yeah.
In terms of like the logistics, who's booked the venues? Do you have contacts in those? Who's done all the accommodation and things like that?
So as it's well, luckily we're all quite local-ish. Furthest out people at the moment are Swindon. So between Cheltenham and Swindon is all the cast so far. I've mostly done a lot of that stuff, contacting venues, which is challenging at the moment. Like again, we're looking for those, you know, 300-400 seaters, ideally with a sort of a cinema setup option. And there's plenty of these spaces that exist, but a lot of them don't have full-time people in the building or management that are able to.
Also, these are the costs. Or they're completely inflexible, so these are the costs to hire.
Yeah.
Can't afford it.
Yeah. So yeah, it is quite challenging, but it is about sort of casting that wide net and saying, well, is this possible? Is this doable? And yeah, we're just going to, it's a relentless case of just saying, knocking on doors basically, but via email and phone calls. I find phone calls really helpful. But yeah.
Find the cemetery?
I used to live in Bristol. And I love that. So that cemetery, this is where I get really morbid. That cemetery is almost like a day out to Alton Towers for me. It is so beautiful. It is so green and full of nature, but then obviously you're surrounded by reminders of the impermanence of life as well. So it's like a double-edged sword of like everything like flourishing and being beautiful, but also like none of this is permanent. And it's like over the years, like I think it was abandoned around about the 1930s, 1940s, and then was sort of like rediscovered or people sort of like happened across it years later. So since like the 70s and the 80s, there's been a mass restoration project, but almost like a forest has erupted where a lot of the graves and the tombs are. So it is like beautifully, hauntingly unique. And yeah, like I've noticed in the past, they have hosted plays, they've done outdoor cinema. I think like a few years ago, they were like screening Hocus Pocus during Halloween weekend, which you think that is an amazing opportunity.
Yeah. Well, they mostly do weddings. They
do weddings as well, yeah.
Particularly, and this kind of also fits in with our sort of like branding and I like what we are as a company is that a lot of their weddings are queer weddings. So that's really, they do they do cater to the straights as well. But
Someone has to.
but like yeah, it's a lot of like queer weddings is a massive part of what they do, and I think that space is really nice. So it fits into our themes, but also Buffy in a cemetery. Yes, please.
I think they've been lovely as well. They're like, oh, do you guys,
So
if you're in costume before the show, well, do you feel free to have a photo shoot? Here's the rules and stuff, like, around that, and their sort of like what their due diligence is and stuff. So like, which for marketing for next year, having like literally Spike and Buffy, with a tombstone between them, or that's gonna really, really like help us with our media packs and stuff.
Yeah.
Sending out to theatres and venues.
Brilliant. You've sort of touched on what your plans are for the future, so I skim over that unless you've got something else you'd like to add.
Yeah, I think at the moment we want to play that a little more closer to life. I think we've given hints if people are like really keen. But yeah, we'll play that close to our chest for now, just to again, getting funding. We do actually. We could talk about possibly the Scratchy thing.
Oh yeah. So we've got a potential project coming up for next year, and we've got, so based off of the sort of the what we mentioned earlier on some of our the more like theatres and working with like queer writers, we've got a night that we want planned that we're just started planning, and it's so because we're called it's kind of like a scratch night, but it's not really a scratch night, so it's not like open mic in that sort of sense. It's a lot more rehearsed, and it will be rehearsed, but because we're called Behind the Curtain, and this was Lucy R who came up with this, it's going to be called a swatch night instead, which is genius, and annoyed that she came up with it and not me.
But the idea of having a curtain that's almost a patchwork of all these different works, so
we're gonna
each writer's presenting one or two scenes from an original work or an adaptation, and between a small troupe of actors, we're just going to act out a couple of these scenes, talk to people involved in funding or theatre locally, Bristol, Worcester, only a sort of very small, almost cabaret-esque speakeasy vibes.
It's going to be very, very stripped back. I think we're not going to bother with like doing costumes, we are really, you're also kind of umming and ahhing about even having people not like, we're thinking about potentially have people with scripts, like obviously rehearsing and know what you're saying, so you're not like here.
Oh yeah, cold reading.
But like the idea of us actually just having the books out, so it's not completely, it's not the final piece, and also this won't be the final bit of writing either, because I'm sure there'll be feedback from people, so it'll just be, it's very much a developmental piece. It's a lot more kind of relaxed, and we've already got a good excuse me, we've already got a great team together of people who we are going to be working with, and I mean, some of these plays will very much be behind the curtain shows in the future. Two of them definitely will be, and then we've got a couple that might not be, but we're not worried about that. We just want to be able to say, like, we wanted to give a spotlight to those writers so they can help get funding and then produce that in their own right with a different company, what have you. So we're not like, they're not all going to be behind the curtain productions when they come into their final version, but we just want to work with people, and also our friends as well. They are our friends, and we want to give them a boost, because that is what theatre is pretty much about, is like helping people out. So it's going to be really, really fun. We've only really just started working on it. We had a meeting last week to really discuss sort of the kind of the bigger picture, but then we'll get into the finer details as we get closer to the time. We've not got a date or times for that yet, but it's something that we're definitely working on, and there will be more details at some point in the future.
Follow us.
Do you think in addition to being a theatre company that produces your own work, then you're also sort of creating a networking community?
Oh yeah. I would love to be in a position where somebody who hasn't had, I wouldn't say necessarily like the training, but like who has an idea, has a script, has a concept, and they're like, but how do I make this happen? That would be like the ultimate dream, to be supporting people bring art to life. It is a difficult industry to navigate, and I think I can't speak for you, but a lot of it is like, because it's so difficult to get even your foot through the door to even show like something you could do or you're capable of. So a point is like, well, let's just do it. And I think there's a lot of that happening. There's a theatre I was speaking to in Nottingham, and they just produced their own original work. So they are looking like potentially in the future, touring productions will be something they'll look at as an option. But yeah, it's a theatre where actors and writers and performers are just going in and working and creating original theatre. And I'm like, that's the dream. So yeah. But I think it's one of those things that it's one of those dreams you have to make happen. Yeah. It's not just going to fall into your lap. You're just not going to network yourself into that situation. So yeah, I would love to personally be someone that does support people with that journey.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting as well, because ultimately everyone that I've spoken to in a sort of fringe theatre environment, no one knows how you get there. And even as you go higher up, the people who work at, like, we used to at uni call it muck musicals, because you're just churning out the same things. The people who work at that level know exactly what you do, and there's a regimented structure, and it's contact this touring venue and this one, and we'll put together a route. But anything below that, they're like, oh, I don't know, how did you get it this far? It's like, well, I've done all of that off my own back, and then what do I do now? I don't know if you guys have had a different experience or are finding it very much the same.
Yeah, I think it was, well, I mean, the Cheltenham Playhouse was really, really great for this. And I also, another thing that they work in, and it's something that I actually, like I said, I work in the marketing for the Playhouse, and it's another kind of project within the Playhouse that I kind of co-lead, which is the Cheltenham Fringe Festival, which happens during May. And last year we were able to bring Once More the Feeling to the, well, you brought it, and I was like, I'm gonna be on this side of the organising this. But as a actual as a festival that we do, so it's a very, very small festival. It all takes place in the Cheltenham Playhouse. It's very, very small. We've only been doing it we've only done it the past 2 years. So it started in 2024, and then we've done it again this year, and we're hopefully going to be doing it again next year. But we try and really operate on if you're a small theatre company starting out, we want you to just come in, do your scratch nights, do developmental work, do research, bring a finished piece of theatre. And I think there is not a lot of options like that. And I'm going off on a tangent. There's nothing to do with Behind the Curtain at all. But I think there are some places, but there are like some ways in which small theatre is supported, but it is few and far between, and it is hard to find. So we are quite lucky in Cheltenham to have a festival like that to work with, and it was also part of why me and my colleague Lauren decided to set it up in the first place. Is like, we really want to give a space to artists newer, like more experienced, but with newer work, to just come and have fun, put on the productions, get some feedback, just have that opportunity to kind of get your foot through the door.
I think it's future-proofing as well. Venues that are less than, I'd say, 300-400 seats, obviously are not attractive to muck musicals, and they will not go there. Which is like, even though when like I'm not going to say the name, but I know there was one that was doing a UK tour, and between Malvern and Cheltenham in the bigger theatres, they super struggled to sell seats, but they still will not, like they would fit in the Playhouse and at 180 capacity. Like the ticket sales they did, and yes, it'll be probably making a loss for them, but you think like that's got to be better than sitting in an 800 seater with like not even a quarter filled. But it's future proofing in my opinion, because like if you look at, I mean, Amdram societies will always be around, but you know, a lot of what Amdram was 30, 40 years ago was people who, you know, were well off enough in their jobs. This was a hobby. This was a community thing. But those communities don't just run on the people that want to perform. And there's plenty of those people coming up. But it's the chairs, it's the treasurers, it's the social committees. It's all these things that a lot of people aren't I would say able to do in today's sort of like climate. Like we all have to work pretty hard for not a lot. And I do think like community theatre is something that will, I wouldn't say it would die out, but I think it's going to greatly reduce how many shows they can put on, the people pulling the strings behind it and stuff, because a lot of younger people just do not have the time or the want to give their time for free. And if the smaller venues really do rely on a lot of community theatre, but the point is like, but there is so much like smaller up and coming theatre that is like, that would also be your bread and butter. Like, I don't think you can rely on tribute acts in Amdram for much longer. I think in the future, we're going to see that sort of all reduce a lot. So actually supporting smaller creators in smaller companies would be a good bet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So give you all the money and funding.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Give us all the money and all the funding, and we promise we'll never turn it into a muck musical.
What advice would you give to anyone who's in your position, who's starting on the same sort of similar project and wants to know where to go and how to do it?
Don't let setbacks put you off. Absolutely. Don't let things, so like we've mentioned, funding's a nightmare. Getting funding is a nightmare, and the chances are you will apply for funding for 10 different places. You might hear back from like 2 of them,
and it'll probably be no.
It's a nightmare. It's very, very difficult, and you can't let that stop you, because eventually somebody out there will go, that's not a bad idea, and give you that money. Surround yourself with people who have got your back and share your same passion. I think that's what's really kind of definitely helped us, is that our team, and it's our team, like the people who we work with on a regular basis. We do tend to keep going back to the same people, because they are incredible, and they are always so supportive, and they very much share the same mindsets as us. So don't let setbacks hold you back. Surround yourself with supportive people who share the same mindset. That's 2. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I say dream big and audaciously. Huh?
You can say as many as you like.
Yeah, I say dream big, dream audaciously. Don't think that yes, it can be tricky to navigate, and not everybody has the same advantages as everyone else, but keep knocking on doors, keep saying, hey, I've got a good thing, I've got an interesting thing, at least talk to me about it, at least give me 5 minutes on the phone. And as well, like get comfortable with failure, because like failure and setbacks are just part of the learning journey. When I left drama school, I was so my sensitivity to rejection was almost like pathological, clinical, and that's what stopped me from like just going out there and doing it, because like even when you are leaving drama school at like 21, 22, and you do have this ability and that ability and maybe this contact and stuff, you are still going to hear no a lot. Worse than that, you're going to submit stuff or go in, and you're never going to hear from them again. Whether that's right or wrong, that is just the way the industry works. No answer is your answer. And I wish I'd sort of like had the insight at the time to sort of address that about myself, realizing that how sensitive I was to rejection and how much it would set me back, and how I had to change that. I had to challenge it. And just, things like not the right fit. It's a thing we say to each other all the time, but it's a legitimate thing. Like, you can be just as good as somebody else that auditioned for a part, maybe even slightly better, but when you compare it with whoever else is in the cast and how that looks, how that feels, that can absolutely be the deciding factor. And that is not a comment on your ability or your skills or your hard work. It is just not this time. But there is a lot of not this times, and a lot of no's and a lot of unanswered emails. And it is, you just be determined, be audacious.
And I think again on that, I used to get really annoyed when people didn't email me back. So I get a press pass for the Fringe through my business, and I receive probably about 10,000 emails between June and August, and that is before the Fringe and for review requests, and you cannot reply to every single one of them.
Yeah,
I think that this industry is incredibly saturated, and that needs to be taken into account when you feel that rejection. Like,
yeah.
for as many as you can. Yeah,
I think it's like Joe, who plays a Demon Sweet. He said the other day, and I hope he wouldn't mind me saying this, like he would rather be an actor in a small town like Gloucestershire, Cheltenham, or the Southwest, where he's sort of known of, people have seen him and seen his work in different things, and then when something's happening locally or over in Bristol or over in Birmingham, say, hey, there's that guy over in Gloucester. He'd rather live that than just be completely unknown in London.
Yeah.
And just be, you know, rocking up to the same auditions, looking at the same guys that look exactly like you, watching the same couple of guys get that role over you day in, day out. Like, that would be tough for me. And yeah, it is a massively saturated industry.
Sure.
And it just, and in my opinion, there needs to be just more around local theatre, and supporting local theatre as well.
Yes.
You know, a lot of smaller companies, we are working so hard to be able to pay performers and pay musicians and pay technicians, and deal with the venues' higher pricing or expectations around that, whilst also delivering an affordable ticket, which is so hard. Like, so hard.
It's that real balance.
Yeah.
It's that real balance.
And you know, like, do give £100, £200 to go and watch Jamie Lloyd's Evita. Like, it looks incredible. It is a standout piece of art. If you love Rachel Zegler, if you love Andrew Lloyd Webber, if you love Evita, do go and spend that money and have a great time. But also, like, there is so much going on in your local communities, your smaller communities. It's not all Village Hall Panto, and even that has its own place. Like,
go and see the Village Hall Panto.
Go and see the Village Hall Panto for £3. You will.
Best night.
Yeah, exactly. I saw my friend do Panto of the Opera as an amateur show in Bristol, and we had a great until we realised there wasn't a bar serving alcohol. We had a great time. So yeah, no, like, you know, for the money that you would spend to see Jamie Lloyd's Evita, and I'm not. I mean, I'm jealous I haven't been to see it. I really want to see it. You know, that is 7, 8, 10 productions in your local community, whether it's going to keeping your Amdram community alive, whether it's supporting a small company, whether it's supporting a small one-man show and a guy who's living out his dream, telling his life story through a trombone or something. I don't know. But, like, look at your local scenes, look at your local music, look at your local arts, because it's so tough at the moment. And I would hate to live in a world where it was only the Cameron McIntoshes, the Andrew Lloyd Webbers that were producing theatrical art.
Yeah.
Again, it's not to shame or dismiss what they've done, but, like, there has to be room for more stuff.
What would be your absolute dream show that you'd want to produce?
So,
in the one sort of,
yeah, in the context of like a musical, I would really love to do a Hedwig reimagination. Like, just maybe again some of those, working with some of the local sort of queer drag performers and stuff. Like, I think Hedwig's one of Rocky Horror is controversial, but also, like, Rocky Horror is, to me, Rocky Horror is straight Halloween. That's the way that I describe it now. That it seems to have lost a lot of its queer identity, and it is a straight dress-up night, and people know and have a great time. Again, that's I wouldn't want. They attempted a queer reimagining of Rocky Horror, and it bombed. So, like, on film version.
Oh, the Fox. Yeah.
So I'd love to see Hedwig, something that's intrinsically always been a bit more queer and tied to identity. I would love to do a version of that. How about you?
You've just done a really nice answer. I'm just like, Little Shop of Horrors, because I like the big plant. No, but I absolutely adore Little Shop of Horrors. I really do. I absolutely love it. And it's been done quite a few times in Cheltenham, and recently as well, actually. But yeah, I do love it.
I think there is, again, like,
I think there is room for a queer adaptation of
well,
Little
there
Shop of
was
Horrors.
MJ Rodriguez did Audrey, so the actress from Pose.
Oh, I know, yeah.
And she sang it beautifully. And I don't know if it was ever like said the character was trans or not. Like this version of Audrey was trans or not.
Audrey and Seymour are a T for T couple, and that's I will stand like by that.
And there's things like you see like Legally Blonde, where they did it at what's that outdoor theatre in London?
Regents.
Yes. And you know, like again, there were trans Delta Mu girls and stuff. So like, yeah, I think there's a lot of these big shows at the moment. Like it's not a far stretch to be able to sort
Well, they made that trainer lesbian in Starlight Express. Yeah. That's
Binary.
non-binary.
sorry.
Non-binary. Yeah, I think they made a character who was, I think it was a character Greaseball from a male character in the original to when they've like redone it recently as a non-binary character. So people are doing it. Andrew Lloyd Webber's kind of on it. He is getting it sort of.
Yeah, I don't think that's his idea. Let's not give him too much.
No, let's not. And that's not. But yeah, so it's. But no, I do like Little Shop of Horrors, and I've done Little Shop of Horrors before at my school, and I played the dentist, and that was so fun.
There was a show in London a few years ago which I never got to see, or even I don't even know how well it did, how long it ran for, whether people were really into it. But it was called Mercutio and Tybalt, and it was a love story, a reimagining of Romeo and Juliet from a love story from the perspective of Mercutio and Tybalt, that they were secret lovers as well. Which I was like, oh my, like, yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that I would love to do. So like, and Mercutio here with some really queer music. All Alanis Morissette and George Michael.
Perfect. And finally, where can we find you? What are your socials? Where are you performing next?
So our socials as Behind the Curtain are Behind the Curtain Theatre Production. Sorry, I forgot the name of our own company. Fire me. Yeah, Behind the
Can we just?
So you can find us as a company at Behind the Curtain Theatre Productions on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube as well. And yes, if you follow us on those, that you can keep up to date with all the stuff that we're doing, dates for shows, all that sort of thing. Myself, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and well, not Facebook, but Instagram and TikTok as _Tony Shaw _ yes.
Yeah, Stephen Santoris. There is usually only one of me. Occasionally I get myself cloned, which is a nice feeling sometimes.
There's an Olympic diver called Tony Shaw. I'm not her. Not even slightly.
And our next performance is the 20th of September. Yeah. We are doing a Andrew Lloyd Webber cabaret night. This is a fundraiser for the Cheltenham Playhouse, who have quite publicly faced quite a few financial difficulties this past year, which all seems to be working like so many different companies, like the local groups such as Cods and Savoyards and another production company have all worked tirelessly to donate and raise funds for the Playhouse. We've done a little bit ourselves. This is the one that we're doing where they get 100% of the money, so no singers will be paid. We've got Andrew Lloyd Webber because he is an industry staple. Yeah. People do love his music, and we want butts on seats to make sure that we have this theatre in the future. So
and tickets are selling pretty well. So yeah.
And yeah, there's a £10 ticket, which is pretty reasonable, but there's an option to donate more if you wish. There's about, I think, 22 Webber songs that evening happening between 7 cast members.
Yeah, I've not been involved in this one. I didn't realize there was that many.
Oh yeah, it's a long ballady night. If you like your ballads, this is the one to come to. Ballads and drama. That was my notes when I was taking notes during rehearsal. I was like, this one's dramatic. This one's ballady. This one's dramatic. Then we will be performing Once More With Feeling in Arnisdale Cemetery on the 25th and the 26th of October this year. Perfect pre-Halloween spookathon. We're still working on the concept of how that show is going to look, but expect to see the cast, expect to see full costumes, expect to see live singing. Those things are non-negotiable. And then, then it's watch out for 2026 and what we announce.
And Tony, while we've got you, tell us more about the Cheltenham Playhouse 80 for 80 campaign, is it?
Yes, the 80 for 80 campaign. So this is, as Stephen mentioned, we had some financial struggles early this year, like quite
touch and go
critical. It was like, wasn't 100% sure if we'd be able to survive the year, even survive like the months ahead. However, we are in a much stronger position now. However, you know, funding is still really, really vital, and we still do need cash injections where we can get them. So yes, the 80 for 80 it's our Just Giving page for the Cheltenham Playhouse. I think it's something crazy like 50,000 already, which is incredible. So thank you very much for everybody who has supported us so far. But yeah, we still need a little bit extra just to make sure that we are in completely safe waters. So yeah, if you've got an extra couple of quid, if you want to throw that our way, or come to one of the fundraising shows.
Go to your small theatres. Half the time the bar's cheaper than the bigger theatres. The tickets are certainly cheaper, and I think there's more interesting stuff to be like. I've seen Heather's at like our local big theatre and had a great time. Love the music, love the show. But, you know, it is what it is. Whereas if you want to see sort of more bespoke, custom, in-your-face art, then, yeah, look at your smaller venues. A lot of them are going to be having hard times. And the best way to support them is to use them, is to keep going, is to have a couple of drinks at the bar at intermission, and then enjoy the show that's happening in front of you. And then tell everyone how much you enjoyed the show that was happening in front of you. Yeah, support small theatre.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.